Okay, good afternoon and welcome everyone to Moxi Present 101. I love this product and how easy it is to use and how many great things you can do with it. So today we're going to cover 101. I asked a brief question, just basically seeing where you guys were at. Have you used it at all? Are you in it all the time or are you in it here and there? So kind of wanted to get a good idea. The answers I got back are not at all, and then some have not used it at all, and some of them are in, but just trying to learn how to use it a little bit better. So we've got a good variety today. As I continue to allow people to enter into our class, what I want to do is just give you an expectation of today. What we've done is we've broken it down into two different classes just to make it very easy for you to learn and understand. That way it's not a whole bunch of information at once and a lot more difficult to use. The product itself is very simple. Now, the good thing is today we're doing 101, and here's what we're going to cover. How to log in and where, the account profile review, which is where all of the information needs to be stored and correct for it to pull through correctly for you, inclusive of your MLS ID, and the connections you might have to external programs. I'm also going to show you an actual finished presentation. So the literal presentation that was sent to a client, I'm going to go into the client as a client, into the email and open it up. I want you to see full 360. You're not just getting the agent side today, you're going to see the client side as well, which is a benefit. Once I do that, we're going to actually go through that presentation. We're going to do a simulated seller presentation and go through slide by slide. Instead of just talking about the technology tool part of it, let's talk about how you present it and what the actual slides mean, right? So you're totally empowered to not just use the product, but then to use it right away. I'm also then going to show you how to go step by step in creation of it as well. So not just give you a little heads up on how to do it, we're going to go through and do an actual presentation today from scratch. And then I'm also going to let you see a little sneak peek of what 201 will be. Now, 201 is a little bit more in depth what that is. It's also very easy to, just so you know. In 201, we're going to cover how to do customized presentation pages. So you can create an additional page where you add in your own video content. And I'll show you a little bit more about what that means in a little bit. So just for your context information, my name is Elizabeth Glass. If you need to reach me outside of today's session at any time, feel free. I'm part of the technology team with JD, Carrie, and Judy. So if you wish, you can reach me at elizabeth.glass@cbschmidtohio.com. Again, that's elizabeth.glass@cbschmidtohio.com. Now, we do have more people entering in, so if you guys wish to participate, I would love so. If you have questions as we go through, please put them in the chat box as soon as you see them. If they're relevant to exactly what I'm showing right then, I'm going to go ahead and stop and answer that question then. If it's a question that I already have ready to answer in a specific order, I will make sure to get to it. I will cover all questions by the end of today's session. So I'm glad to see all of you here with us today. Please, somebody acknowledge, can you see my screen? It should look like a Moxi Present page, and it should say Joel McHale. If somebody could give me a yep, I see it. Thanks, Katie. All right, great. We're just going to start off at the beginning. What better way to see a tool that you're going to use and learn than to see it first from the client side? Because that's the whole reason you're doing it. You're going to create presentations for your client. To back up, Moxi Present can be a seller presentation tool, meaning you can do a seller presentation on their property, so a comparative market analysis. It's also used to help when determining price adjustments. If you do one for a seller and they're on the market, what if they don't sell in 30 days or 60 days? You can do a presentation using these tools that are already implemented, connected with your MLS to help them reestablish whether their price point is correct, or maybe they need to do a price adjustment. It just helps them understand the market in that moment. It is also used for a buyer presentation tour as well. Maybe you want to do a presentation to a buyer. You can also do a buyer tour. So once the buyer has narrowed down the properties, you literally can do a step-by-step tour, taking you from one property to the next, connected to Google. So the key there is that it will allow you to utilize this on your phone or your iPad or anywhere that's mobile accessible. And it will actually navigate you via Google Maps. Very, very cool. You can also do a personalized presentation or any kind of newsletter as well. Those are also going to be covered in 201. But to start, let's jump into our client email. The first thing to really kind of mention here is that when you send a presentation, it will also send you a copy. I'll show you exactly how to make sure that part is initialized when you send it. The point of that is so you always have a copy of what's going out. I want you to know and see and be present for what somebody else receives, right? So when you send a presentation to anybody using Moxi Present, you can have it send it to you as well. So I'm opening this as the agent. As you can see, this particular presentation was sent to Elizabeth Glass, right? We're going to pretend like I'm the client in this simulation. So it allows me to see what they're getting. This is going to be super beneficial because you're going to have more than one client, and you sometimes need to just jump in your email, right? Just to make it quick. So you're going to have a visual copy, and you can literally see what they see when they see it. Now, the client view is very simplistic, and I want you to understand this is designed for the most ease of use. So it's going to literally say seller presentation, making it simple. You can change that text if you wish. When the client opens it up, it's simplistic. I don't need those that are technology impaired to have a struggle, right? So we make it very simple in the fact that it's just standardized contact information. Here's a message that I've entered, and you can personalize your own. It just says, hello, I have prepared a comparative market analysis for your property. Please click the button below to view. Now what happens is when you scroll, there's only one button to push. It literally says view seller presentation. And if it was a buyer tour, it'd say view buyer tour. So we make it very easy for understanding and very easy to use. When you click it, you're going to get a digital version of the presentation. It is the most current and accurate version. The greatest thing about Present is that it's integrated immediately into your MLS, so it's up-to-date live information. So as a perfect example to explain this correctly, this particular presentation was sent to me as a client today, right? So I can see that in here. Now, if I wanted to close this email and it's been a week or 2 weeks and the market's changed, if I chose this initial email, and clicked on that view presentation button again, any changes with the market would be updated, reflected immediately without your client doing anything and without you doing anything. Or if you've gone in and make a change within that couple week period that I haven't seen this, and I still click on the same button, it's still going to be the one same live version. There are no two versions. So it's not like it will ever be out of date, which is a huge benefit to you as an agent, but to your client as well. So let's take a look at the actual presentation. So it's branded, depending on the DBA of your company. If it's Century 21, you'll see that there, or if it's Sotheby's, you'll see that there. Just so you know, we also have luxury branded versions as well. So those will be black and they'll have the luxury brand view. It's very, very easy to use this presentation tool. I did have somebody that did not have any technology knowledge try this, and they did not have any issues at all, which is what I feel is a benefit here. As you can see here, it says presentation ready, scroll down. So all they do is scroll down. And then what we're going to see here is a series of slides catered to their specific property. What I want to do is pinpoint something for you as an agent to help flow of business, right? When you're conversating with them, but it's also available to the client as well for navigational purposes. So right now you can see the slide. You can see in here, it says Joe McHale. That was who I just put in as the client's name. And it's having me in here as the real estate agent. So for you guys, you would show up right here with your information. And then your client's name would be up here inclusive of the address. Please take your eyes to the bottom right. Can you guys see this little navigational panel here? If somebody could give me a yes, that would be great.
Yes.
Thank you. This is your saving grace. I don't care if it's your first presentation and you don't know what you're doing, or your 100th. This is going to be what you're going to do to have a great flow of conversation. First of all, you can tell that the arrow button going up would mean that you're going to go back to the previous slide. If I were to click on the down arrow, it takes me right to the next slide. And what you can do is you can just continue to hit those arrows to get through the slide. But the beauty is in the middle. So right here in the middle, we have a little icon that has 3 lines. When I click on this, either as the client or the real estate agent, it lets me then jump back and forth to any one of the presentation pages that I wish. The beauty of this is if I'm the client and I'm reviewing these pages right now, on my own, I can do this very simply. But if you're on the phone or on a Zoom meeting with your client like we are now, you could actually have this up on your phone or screen or iPad, wherever you have it. and so can they. And what you can do is have the verbal conversation of the explanation of the presentation, which is what we'll go over in just a second. But the wonderful thing is because they're absorbing so much information, and you can say, do you have any questions? They'll probably say no, not yet. Well, what happens when you are on page 4, 5, 6, and they say, oh, wait a minute, you know what? I did have a question regarding such and such on page 1. Without any stop of business or flow interruption, you're going to click right on that navigational panel on the bottom right in the sandwich in the middle, and you're going to be able to jump back up there to what you were referring to and go immediately back to page 1 or 2 or wherever that was referencing. That way, you're not going to sit there and have to scroll and scroll and scroll. When that happens, when you're just scrolling and it makes you flustered, it can sometimes interrupt your flow and maybe your confidence. So this is something that's a very beautiful tool for you to be very on demand with the ease of how to use it. So what we're going to do in this simulation, I'm actually going to go through and do page by page. I want you to see it and understand it. It is interactive, it's intuitive. So I want you to see how everything's clickable. And the best part is, if it's your first presentation, or what if this is a presentation in a sales market you are not a master in, you're not efficient in it yet, you haven't been in that city, this presentation tells you what to say. It's cold. So it makes you a master of that particular area by using the analytics and the intuitive nature of the tool. So let's take a peek. So page 1. Now page 2 is going to be just in a pricing analysis here. So this is just a generalized quote price $539.9. However, there's an area in here, right here is where it would show up right here where it says pricing stats. As a real estate agent, you could put in here, I feel we could probably mark at $539.9. However, if you updated your flooring and your bathroom, we could probably mark it closer to $600,000. So this is a great apparent value, but then you have the control as well to say, we could do it for this price. And then you could type in the comments here, just like where it says calculations are based on sold comparative properties. You can put your own broker agent note that specifies what changes they can make to make it a difference in price, right? Agents and clients need to experience communication on that level up front. Set the expectation. So let's go through. You're going to see a variety of different page layouts, and that is intentional. Present is designed, just like most of Moxi products, to meet the client where they are. And that is very important to me as a partner of our company, to meet not only you where you are as an agent, but the client, right? So I want you to understand that just like you receive information from me in a training format in different ways, some of you are visual, some of you are audible, and some of you need a combination of both. Same with your client. These different layouts are going to cater to their particular reception ability. Are they analytical? Do they need the numbers? Are they graphics? Do they need to see those graphics, right? Are they, whatever their different frame of mind is, or how they have to receive and process is going to be catered to here. So this is just a different layout. This is the actual property information. For you as a client and agent, it's actually pulling directly from the MLS, so you didn't have to do anything. But as you can see in here, it has just a basic information that you would see all notating the property. I'm going to kind of fly through these here pretty quickly because I want to spend the basis of our time building the presentation to teach you. But this one right here is my favorite slide. It's called side-by-side comparison. Now I want you to think of those people who need to see the numbers. They need the stats, they need to process it, they need to feel like they understand the market. But let's face it, unless they buy and buy and buy and live and work in real estate, they probably don't understand what the market is like today. What they understand is what Susie neighbor told them their house sold for. What they understand is what cousin in the next city told them. So that's what they kind of formulate their idea on what their property's worth. You and I know that's not the case. It's the house, it's the city, it's sometimes even the literal street that can determine the value. So what this does is it actually takes the subject property, which in this case is over here to the left, right here it's active. And what it does is it literally uses the analytics in the system of today's to the second market data and properties in the MLS, and it gives true comparatives to that property. So they can see things that are contingent or pending or active or sold. And it's laid out in a way, if you can see my cursor, I'm on the left, it lays it out so all the analytics are here So very visually, I can stack these, they're next to each other, and I can compare, okay, well, this one looks like it's, mine's, we're thinking 539.9, but it's 5 bedrooms. This one's a little bit less in price, but it's 4 bedrooms. And it just helps you really understand where your house is placed compared to the other properties. It helps the visual aspects as well. Because let's say, as an example, this one right here, okay? If we're looking at comparable number 4, the 20483 Donegal. Well, guess what? They sold their house for more money than I'm about to put this one on the market for. So in my mind, I'd be like, well, I want that much money. They're not too far from me. Why wouldn't my house sell for that much? Well, the beauty is not only can they sit here and come through and look, and if you can see in here, it's got the square footage and all of the information. I'm able to physically come in here and click. I'm clicking on each property I want to view. And not only am I seeing where it's located by map on the left, but I'm very visually still having full on access of all the information, inclusive of pictures and videos. So as a client now, I'm thinking to myself, I want to make as much money as possible, and I want to list it for higher than normal. But I'm going to jump in here and be like, oh, but they have new carpet and I have stains up my carpet, right, as the client. Or I can come in here and be like, okay, but they've got new floorings, new walls, they've got beautiful pillars. Mine needs new floors, mine needs new walls, right? So now all of a sudden what happens is Present allows them to separate the emotional connection to their property and understand the financial reality. Does that make sense? So if I wanted to sell my property, and this is my property that we're doing here in the CMA, the Scenic Point, and I knew that I had to update my house, but emotionally I am connected and financially because I updated the bathroom. I put in this killer basement that has a pool table that's going with the house, and it's got a hot tub and this and that. So emotionally, I'm connected to the investment that I've done, and financially I'm connected. But we know as an agent in the market that those things aren't always what are going to reproduce the highest yield and return, right? So what we need to do as a real estate agent and as a brokerage is disconnect the emotional connection with the reality of what the market is. And the beauty by doing it through this presentation tool is it makes you not the bad guy, right? If you tell your client that wants to list at $20,000 over what you know it's going to sell for, this is their property, and you say, well, I don't think it's going to be selling for that much, they get their feelings hurt. And that's just the truth. They say, well, you just don't see the value in my house, or they maybe think that they look at the value of what your skills are as a realtor to sell it. That's not the case. The case is, it's selling by using these tools right here, and you know what the market is like. So now, instead of you being the person that says, I don't think it's time for your house, they're not having that thought in their mind of, I just don't think they're experienced, or I don't think they appreciate my home. They're seeing the actual value. So whereas I know I need to make some updates, I'm literally looking at the one that sold for the price I wanted to sell it for, and I'm seeing they literally updated it more than my house, or vice versa. What if it's reversed? What if maybe they're thinking less than you think the value is because of appreciation? It could work in reverse as well. So this helps you understand the true initial pricing point for an accurate sale in the least amount of time, but it also helps your client get to that point before it's 3 months too late. They didn't listen to you. You put it on the market for what they're asking, and it didn't sell. This gives you the full opportunity to tell them in advance, so that if they make the decision, which a lot of them or some of them will, to overprice it, they know in advance it was their emotional and physical idea to do so, right? So it was their decision. So it becomes a cooperative partner opportunity instead of in a real estate brokerage or an agent just telling somebody some information. What this is doing is this is enabling them to empower themselves to truly see what the market is today. And for you to let them know this is current information. They could go to Zillow all they want. They could go everywhere all they want, but that's going to be outdated feed. And this is going to be the current up-to-date comparative. So let me just kind of run through these really quick just to give you more of an idea. Again, every single thing you're seeing is clickable. So it's all interactive. If I wanted to look at, for example, let's see what we have. Okay, right now, this is true to today. Right now it's Wednesday at 1:26. Today's market. my comparative properties. One is contingent, one is two of them are pending. And I want you to look at this, guys. Watch the market today. Sold, 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 sold. And it's so important to show this because this is what's going to happen with your property. So by them really taking the minutes to scroll through here, not only look at what the price was in the pictures, they need to look at the square footage, and the days on the market are down there too. What it can do, for example, let's look at ours. If we're looking on the left side on our subject property, you can see days on the market is 72. Well, guess what? I wanted to sell that in a lot quicker time. If I'm looking at everyone else, I'm seeing 31. This one sold in 62. This one sold in 49. So I'm going to, as a realtor and a client, going to start looking at those properties to see what they did to get their property sold versus what I need to do. Sometimes it's a hard decision to actually go ahead and maybe, resurface the ground or, do the plumbing or whatever scenario that is. You're helping to come to a realization before you get to this 72 days on the market. Now, if this was my property as the client in this situation, is perfect example here. If I was saying, well, it's been on the market 72 days. I know you told me not to market at 539.9, but I really wanted just to try, right? Just didn't hurt. I wasn't in a big rush to get out, so I did it anyway, but now I can see it's not moving. So now in that perspective, as a realtor and a client, you're able to say, okay, this is now what I'm up against on the market today versus what's already sold. So logically, I'm going to come in here and say, okay, realtor, I can now see that maybe we need to do a price reduction per your instruction a couple of months ago. And it just helps, again, you keep yourself on track. So key is, guys, we're meeting them where they need to be met emotionally, financially, and physically in how they receive our information. And because it's interactive, they're getting a full-on experience and control that they do not get when they get the MLS. I understand you can have some houses stacked next to each other through your MLS and you can export them that way, but you're not getting the interaction and you're also not getting the intuitiveness of our tool that I'm going to show you in a second, which also helps to locate and dictate the buyer for your property. So there's a lot more built into this, and it feeds and runs off your system. So as people are searching here, it's actually plugging them in to look on your website. So I want you to also realistically understand that when you're running and using Present, the listing feeds that come up here are plugging and pulling in from your website. So logically, if your website is, let's talk about that. When you have a high SEO, that means search engine optimization. You can go to Google and you can type your name in. You can type in your city, realtor, you can put in whatever you want to look yourself up. The people who show up there on page 1 are going to have a high search engine optimization. They get that by having more page views on their website and doing some other things as well. So when you're using the MLS, those people are staying in the MLS or they're getting a printout. When you're using Moxi Present, you're plugging them in and they're using literally your website. So you're increasing the traffic, which increases the SEO. So there's just so many more valid reasons to use this tool versus just the standard MLS feed. You get much more compatibility as well. And why wouldn't you want to grow your business and your site as well so that you can have that higher search result when people try to find you? Just all makes sense. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide. This one is similar in stacking it side by side, but this is location, because you have that particular person who says, I'm listing my property, but so-and-so, my best friend, she sold hers for this much, and I think my house is just like hers. I want to list it for the same price. This logically lets you understand visually that just because you think you want to sell it for that price, it won't work because it's not even in the same area as yours. So let's say, for example, let me minimize this just a tad here. Okay, so let me go in here. Let's minimize this a little bit. It's kind of expelled right now, so you can kind of keep them all in one area. But let's say for an example, so right here, this is our property. And if so-and-so's property was way over here in Columbia Station, It isn't even in the same real estate market. It's not even in the same sphere. That housing, that development, that street, that road is a completely different comparative property that doesn't even have potentially the same price points as mine. So visually what they can do on the map, they can say, oh, you know what? I really didn't realize all these properties were so many streets away. And they hover over it. And if I click on it, it's again, interactive. See how it found it for me right here, Churchill. So I'm able to then by map, click on it to see where that property is to visually understand it. The concept here is for the seller's end, you're helping them understand what they really can count as a comparative near them versus what they can't count on not far away. And the buyer tool is the same way. When it lists the properties like this, someone could be like, show me properties in this city, but then in reality, when they see it on the map, you might nix out 2 to 3 or 4 properties based off it not being in the property, the area they want. And you've just saved yourself the time of driving to that property and wasting the time to look at it. So this is the next slide. It's listing overview. It's the same concept here, but again, in a different visual view very quickly. So you can see at a quick glance what's contingent, pending, or sold. And again, everything's clickable and interactive, so you can look at the property if you so choose. Next is status comparison. Again, so this is just based off status. It just is categorizing the 3 that are pending together and those that are sold, 12 of them. That's wonderful. And by the way, these are all within the last like month or 2. So this isn't stuff that just happened like back in September or even March of last year. I pulled it through the use of myself in this tool. We pulled stuff that was very current. So I know it's a great time to sell my property right now, but because I've been on the market for 72 days, what I need to do is readjust my property price in accordance to the value that it should be today, or I need to update my house and keep it at the same price. So let's go to the next slide. Listing averages. And this is what I'm talking about as conversation flow. So as a client, I'm very easily understanding what I'm seeing because it's just it spells it out. It tells you what it is. And you can hover over it and click on it, and it's interactive. So you could do this on a cell phone or an iPad or a computer. It doesn't matter what you're on. But as a real estate agent, you're just literally doing what I'm doing. And you can see the slide title. You can say, okay, this is the listing averages. As you can see here, we've got the averages for pending versus sold. And what you can also notice is that when it's clickable, you can actually change it and it will show you just the pricing home averages for pending versus sold. So this is just going to start getting us into some graphics now, just laying information out for those who are visual that need to see that, which is a lot of people. I think most people are a combination of seeing numbers and hearing. This is price and days on the market, same concept. If I hover over it, I can see here that this one currently is pending because it's this gold yellow color. And it tells me that right here, gold. So it's been on the market for 258 days, which is a very long time, but it's not pending to be sold. Whereas if I look over here, these babies right here, these are my highlights. I'm definitely checking these out. These babies sold in 2 days. Right here, what did they do that was different? Is it just the house or is it something else? So this allows you to check on that as well. Next, price and size, same exact concept. Just basing the price and size together. Okay, now here's where it's different. And this is proprietary to Coldwell Banker, just so you know, or to our brand now as Realogy. So this is not something that they're going to get with any other brokerage. There's something that we have called CBX, which is a buyer profile. We call it big data. Basically what happens is we can use these predictive analytics that we use through software outside of this and connect it to literally find the buyer for this particular property, the type of buyer or where they are. And obviously the client is like myself, if I'm the client, I'm not going to know what a heck a CBX buyer profile is. So this slide is just a very quick little tool to explain what it is. So that way, when they go to the very next slide, they have a little bit more of an understanding. So here is our buyer profile map. And to the left, what you can see in here are the analytics for the type of buyer most likely to buy this particular property that we're trying to sell. So it tells you in here like the median age, like this is the data, the numbers. It also tells you their most visited websites in that area. So the concept here, if you're going to pay for ad spend, it's going to probably want to be at Google, Amazon, or Facebook. Those are where they spend the majority of their time in the buyer profile of our buyer. So you're not going to want to waste a whole bunch of time, maybe on TikTok right now, or maybe on something else, because you're going to find a better yield of return to get your buyer in Facebook. Now, how can we tune it in a little bit deeper? If you can notice here on the right, we have a color code, and it tells you black is the highest match to our particular property, to our buyer. And then it goes all the way down to gray being the lowest. So it does actually pull a very vast area out here. But as you can see here, this particular buyer matches 91.67%. Where if I click on this one over here, I'm only at a 66% rate. So as a realtor, you know, I'm no longer going to buy postcards. I'm no longer paying dollars and cents to mail them to this area code because it's not my most likely buyer for this particular property. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stay around the zones that are red or that are black here, because these are my most likely to buy. And you can kind of hover and click, like, for example, right here, 100% buyer profile match. So you definitely want to mail this to Strongsville in the 44149 zip code, and and it gives you the percentage of when they're most likely to buy. Now, the good thing with this is that it's interchangeable. So let me go down to the next slide. So it helps you understand that. And then as a client, understand if your realtor is telling you we have the potential now to find your buyer, what you're saying to them is, if you're listing with me, I have the capability using these tools to empower my marketing to get your buyer quicker. So then it tells them you're selling their house for a higher price at a lesser day point, right? For a less amount of time, which is what you want, as fast as possible. Now, these slides are going to get into the nitty gritty of, I call the fluffy good slides. These are hugely beneficial because instead of just having a presentation that's just all about numbers, especially if it's a seller or a buyer presentation, they want to know, okay, well, cool, you're showing me the market and what my house is like, but what's different about Coldwell Banker versus other brokerages? We like to lead with class, and we like to not need to do a lot of talking about ourselves at the time we communicate. Because if I'm talking to my client as a realtor, I want to be not saying I'm the best, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. I want my marketing and my presentations to do the work, talk for me, right? My testimonials talk for me. Now, when I'm on the phone with you or in this consult, like on a Zoom, my questions to you as a realtor are focused on you as the client. I'm listening, I'm receiving, I'm writing down. The whole concept there is I'm saying, what are your expectations? What do you think? What do you really want to, what do you really want in a new property if you sell this one? So the conversation literally actually just solidifies your relationship with that client to become a seller client or a buyer client, but you're already a step in advance to having this contract, even the same appointment, right? Or the same day, because you're cutting all of this out, and it's just definitely a classier way. Then you don't even need to talk down about any of the brokerages. Our slides do it for them. Now, to help you guys out, what we're looking at is actually a page, or what we'll see is several pages from our listing presentation. We've literally took the time to build it into our presentation tool. So we have something called the Blue Book, right? If you haven't seen it, it's bluebook.com. And this gorgeous I'll show you right now. Sorry, cbbluebook.com. It's a gorgeous presentation tool that has everything you need for a listing presentation. So if you feel like you don't have one, this would be one to use. Bear with me here with my double tap fingers. And it just allows you to navigate as the client very beautifully through this gorgeous presentation that's both digital. We also have it in print. You can ask your regional ASC. But as you can see here, this does all the talking for you. This is the company numbers, the company analytics, company story, our values, what we do to give back, leading the way. These are our offices. We talk about our support teams. So the concept here is that having these pages built into your presentation allows them to understand that if you as a realtor are their realtor, it's not just you. It doesn't matter how long you've been in business, because you have this insanely amazing power team of a marketing group. You have support staff, you have divisions of management, you've got relocation, you've got training specialists, ASCs and managers. When they work with you, they're working with, let's say, I see Brian, I see Mariella, they work with Mariella, they've got Mariella and her team and her admin and her manager. Now, all of a sudden, she's not single. All of a sudden, she's this great power team. Having these particular documents in your presentation, whether it's a seller or a buyer, is very important for them to understand the capability of what you can achieve by working with you as a realtor. So these are important. I'll just run through them really quick. Where do buyers search? This one says 95% they search online. So watch intentionally what the next page is. And we merge these into the presentation. Intentionally, we go right here with the brand. Number one online. We are the number, so see how this does the talk for you? 95% of buyers are online. We are number one most visited real estate brand online. This is literally every year, by the way. Our marketing, our social media, our ads are always scales above, and we don't even need anybody to question that because this is physically giving them that data analysis right there. So why wouldn't Jay pick you? Why wouldn't you want to be with us? Influential views on social media. So this tells you, client-wise, well, if they're getting such high views on social media by what they're doing, this is so, by the way, this is us as a brand, Coldwell Banker Schmidt family of companies as well. When we're listing on our pages, they're going to get that kind of viewage. Next would be their marketing. If you don't have this slide inside of your presentations, whether it's a CMA, a buyer or seller, you're doing yourself and your client a disservice. They want to know where, if they work with you, where is their property being fed to? Where are they? What are they getting out of it? This visually tells them everything from, look, HGTV, Realtor.com, Zillow, Truly a Home Finder. All of the common names that they want to find are here. So they know by working with you, they get, gosh, it's like over 700. It's some crazy number of places we feed out to. Then it goes into marketing, talks about CBX buyer profile, digital, and then it walks you through as a client, literally what your realtor will do for you and how they're going to do it in steps. See how amazing this can come together when it comes to presenting yourself to the client, and then how more comfortable and at ease you are as a client with this being so organized and understandable. So the one we're on now is staging to sell. So see this particular page? It's literally from this blue book. What we do is we took each page and we've broken it up into individual pages and allow you to put it into your presentation. And this is it. I'm going to go back to the presentation. Here it is in the presentation. It's very single and clean. And the beauty of this, again, it allows you to have the slide or the presentation do the speaking for you. And I always use the same explanation because this happened before with the client. If somebody has litter boxes in their kitchen, that's fine. That's where they need to have it for their family. But walking through a property, that's going to be a turnoff to majority of buyers. And so what we can do is have this slide in here do the conversating for us. Instead of saying, you know, those kinds of things, you could say, these are the expectations of what we would want when we're staging your property to sell. So it gives them the literal breakdown. And not only does it help them understand the expectations of what they need to do to literally clean up, you know, look, even things like declutter your counters. Big deal. It really is when it comes to your photos as a realtor, but also getting the people to come. If the house isn't clean, it seems unkept and people are less likely to go because they think there's going to be more problems. So this helps you just allow your property to be in better position to sell in the first place. And then for those who are super stressed, my children's grandmother right now is putting her house on the market. And one of the biggest stresses was she didn't know everything she should do. So this gives them a list. This is providing a resource now to your client to help remove some of that anxiety because they have that checklist there as well. All right, let's take a peek at some of these others. I'm gonna go ahead and make it smaller so you can see the whole slide. Again, this is just more of the blue book pages that we've got in here. Maybe make it a little bit smaller again. Okay, bear with me here as I refresh. We're almost done with this part. So let's go ahead. Let me bounce down back to where we just were. Perfect. So we're at the end of the presentation, and I'm going to have you see a couple different slides here to show you some of the interactions that can happen with Present. Now, this is a custom page. It's part of what you will learn in Moxi Present 201. This is one I made just to show you the ability to brand yourself, and I think it's very important. And just so you know, it's so easy to do. I embedded a YouTube video in here, and actually I've got a couple of YouTube videos. I was able to do some custom text. This is my particular tagline for me. Home is more than just a house. It's where you find your peace. So you're able to put a tagline or text or whatever you want in here as well. You can put graphics, stats like I did in here, our virtual open house, just to show the viewage. And then this is something you're going to learn tomorrow. It's brand new. It's the connection of testimonial trees. So for those of you who like the idea of having a standardized testimonial location where you can access them directly from your clients and have them go to many places instead of one, we're going to teach you that tomorrow. But this is an example of how it works right into Moxi Present, where people can read those testimonials. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go up to the top, and I want you just to see how this is going to run right into my presentation here. And the reason this is obviously not our brokerage, but I chose her video because I want you guys to see you can brand yourself very easily as a realtor, and it doesn't need to be high scale quality either. This could be, you know, a cell phone video or taken on a digital camera, just you as an introduction. I want you to see that it makes a big stride of difference when it comes to people working with you and choosing you as a realtor. Just why are you different? I'm going to play it for just 1 second just so you can see how it plays inside the presentation and it does not externally take you out.
I love helping people. My role isn't only about negotiating the best price for my clients. It's about understanding each person's unique needs, being readily available to my clients, and communicating effectively, whether it's buying or selling a home. What I love about this.
So as you can see, it's running right in here. It's amazing. We're not taking them out of your presentation, then all of a sudden they're lost in the internet world of going down and watching YouTube videos, which is what would happen. We're keeping them in your presentation. And you can do anything from a video of yourself. You could do a video of from just the brand, like right here is a perfect example. Maybe you want to show that we're more than business. Why is this different? We're not just the next realtor to get the next commission. You can let them know our connections with St. Jude, with Dogs for
We are
Home.
proud to announce that Coldwell Banker is teaming up with St. Jude Children's Research
And it
Hospital
runs
to
right
help.
in there, or you can do this example like I put in here. What if you have a drone video or a Matterport video, or heck, even take a stitched video of one of the houses you have or are selling, just to show the potential client or your current client what you can do for them. And I'm gonna play a quick little video of somebody that did a drone walkthrough. One second. Okay, I know this looks intimidating, but what they just did, I can do with my cell phone and a very quick free product tool called Filmora, which is very easy to edit. If you are interested in creating a video like this, reach out to the team because we can help work with you. We've got suggestions on what products to use, how to make it easy, how to do it from your phone, how to do it from your iPad. It's really just a matter of someone showing you. So it's very simple to do something like that. Again, you just need to be shown. So you can reach out to our training team or your ASC. We can get you a connection. JD has a lot of videos already. I've got some as well for YouTube and how to create video. So I just wanted to give you a quick showcase of what you would see. I think it's tomorrow in the Moxi Present 201. The last slide here in our presentation here is not a custom slide, but it does require a connection I'm going to show you how to do in a second. And it's your About You slide. Right? So you don't need to talk about you because the slide's going to do it for you. It has a bio in here that I have put into my Moxi profile, which I'll show you where that is. And all of this information is showing to my client now. And I want you to know it's even clickable. So it's able to help them go straight to my website. They can go straight to email me or a direct conversation by phone and call as well. Now, all of this information comes from one place in my Moxi Present, which I'm going to show you. But I want you to see another connection that we have here as well. We do have a connection with Zillow solely for a one-way feed of testimonials. That is just a very high viewage place. People do go on purpose to look for testimonials, to check out a realtor. I mean, people find you online half the time. They almost say stalk you online, but they do. They look you up and see if you're on Facebook. They want to see what you're like. They're putting $300,000 or $200,000 or $100,000 in your hands. They're going to check you out. Let's make sure when they check you out, they find what you want. By connecting it with Zillow, Zillow gets nothing out of it. They don't get your information, your client's information, they get nothing. When we connect the feed in, what it does, it allows us to show our star rating. And then it literally has the testimonials right in here. So then as somebody is reviewing this, excuse me, whether it's a seller or a buyer or a potential lead, right? Excuse me. So I could even be sending this presentation out as an example of what a presentation would look like. It doesn't even need to be an established seller or buyer. But now I'm letting my previous clients, I'm letting them do the talk for me about me. And again, it's just a classier way to do business. Testimonials are very highly received. So as you can see, the presentation itself was very easy to navigate. The conversation flow was easy because you just see what's on the screen, and then you literally just conversate about what that is on the screen. And it gives you the dialogue. So what we're going to do is I'm going to jump straight into Moxi now and show you how quickly we can create the presentation. The reality is it takes longer to talk about it than it does to make it, because it's only 5 simple steps and they're all automated. So the only external thing you need to do is pull in those extra pages from the Blue Book and you're good to go. And you can send this to your client. You could technically, once you learn how to do it and you practice 1 or 2 times, you'll be able to meet somebody in the grocery store, and then you can put a presentation for them together in the matter of a couple of minutes, maybe 5 or 10, even less. Shoot it off to them, meet them around the corner at a coffee shop and do the presentation immediately. And I'm saying that with confidence because that's actually happened, and that's something I've done many times. Now, the reason that it becomes confident for you is when you get in and play with it. So what I'm showing you now how to create, I'm going to request or challenge each of you to do this within the next day or 2. Create your own presentation for your own property. Maybe it's your kids, maybe your family, your friend, get their property. Do some trial presentations. Then you're going to see how quickly and easy it is and how fast it will populate the information. Then when it comes time to do it for a client, you're not going to feel hesitant to use it. You're going to go into it with confidence and then be able to then work from anywhere. You can create this presentation from a stand at a baseball game, which is wonderful. So let's talk first very quickly about where to make sure your information is loaded so that it will populate correctly. To do that, I'm inside Moxi right now. I'm just logged into Moxi. You can go to my.schmidtresources.com. If you've never logged in before, it's my.schmidtresources.com. And log in. If you do not have your password, your local ASC can provide that information to you. We also have something that's called schmidtresources.com. Just so you know, it doesn't have the my dot in front of it. You all have one. This is where we collect all of our stuff for our company, all our technology, our tools, our training. All you do is you find your region. Let's say you forget what I said, you forget that it's my.schmidtresources. You can at least remember schmidtresources.com. We actually have a Moxi square right in here. Oh, I think I passed it. We're in the middle of moving stuff around. Oh, sorry guys, it's right here. There's a Moxi square. And inside the Moxi square, not only do we give you a little video to explain so you can see these presentations like I showed you, you can actually click on the login right here. I've created a benefits of Moxi overview PDF showing you everything that is a benefit of each product of the tool. You can download them here. We've also got some training links as well in here. So that's 2 different ways you can get in. Now, once you are in Moxi, the very first thing you're going to do one time, you don't need to do this every single time. In the top right-hand corner, you're going to have a profile icon. Either your picture will be there or nothing will be there yet until you update it. You're going to click on the little drop-down box. When you do that, what we're clicking on is the My Account. So in total, we went to my.schmidtresources.com and logged in with our username and password. Once we log in, we're going to hover on the upper right-hand corner on our profile icon and click the little down arrow. It's going to expand this navigation panel. You're going to click My Account. Chances are it's probably going to automatically log you in to the My Account page unless you were in it previously and it took you off. But this is it. It's a one-stop location for all of your information. So as you can see here, I have personal information, contact information, and web information. And there's a navigational panel on the left. What is very important to know is my photo it's entered here, and all my information that's here What is showing up here is what goes to present for your presentation tool, engage for your campaigns and your CRM, so where you keep your people. And that's also what feeds into your website. So if you're not getting correct information on any Moxi platforms, you come here to change it. And it's so fast because all three of these sections, personal, contact, and web, are unlocked and editable by using this blue pencil right here. Do you guys see that? And it's honestly so simplistic. It's kind of just like any other editing, any other program. Once you click on the edit button, it just unlocks it, and then you're able to change the information you want to change. So right now I'm under the personal information tab. If, let's say, for example, I had a misspelling in my name, or I needed to change my name, I literally can just type right in here, as you guys can see that. And if I were to hit save, it would keep that saved information. So that's the one section. Let's go up here, because the other two are where the hub of the information come from. So contact information. This is my primary email. So this is the email that I log in with. This is the email that if we send you communications through Moxi, this is where it goes to. But your display email is what you see as a client. So if I'm not using my company email on my marketing, and it's going to be elizabethglass.com, I'm going to literally come in here and type right over this and update it right here. That way on my marketing and my presentations, my display email is the one that I want my clients to see and use. That makes sense? So primary is what you're logging in with and how we communicate with you, but you can change the display to be whatever it is you need to run your business with. It could be elizabeth.glass@gmail.com. It doesn't matter what it is. It just gives you the ability to change it. You also want to put a backup email. So if you're not, you can put your personal email in here or whatever it is. That way, if you get locked out or have an issue, they can email that external email. You want to make sure that you use your email here, right here, the same one you want to communicate with, the one you check your emails. If you put it in here, it's used by Lead Router for new leads that come in. So if someone's on your website or someone's doing things that curate leads, it's going to go to the email you establish here. If you don't do it, it's not going to go anywhere, just so you know. Your phone number is in here. You can put your cell phone in here. And then you can have this option to check this little box. Allow customers to schedule a showing for my listings via text message online using my mobile number. So if you want that option, you can go ahead and click on that. So these are very simple things you're going to do one time and save them, and they're going to be updated for good. You never need to change them unless maybe you change your email. Now the web info tab is where you put your title. And then where it says paragraph is where your bio is going to come from. So if you don't have a biography established already, please get with your ASC manager or marketing team. We do have proofreaders and marketers as well that will help you develop and create your bio, because it is one huge pivotal tool in what makes you different than somebody else. If you don't have this information, which honestly, you guys, it's just a paragraph to 3 at most, it's not a resume, and it's a little bit about business, a little bit personal. That way they get to know and understand you a little bit more. You're separating yourself out. You just literally type it and paste it in here like you would Microsoft Word. So please do that one right away. It's very, very important. A lot of people and clients don't even work with agents that do not use their own headshot or put a bio in, because if you cannot market yourself, what kind of a feeling does that make them think about how you're going to market their house? Make sense? So please get with the marketing team or your ASC if you haven't developed that. Just kind of develop a schedule for yourself after today. Maybe try to do a practice presentation today. Maybe tomorrow you schedule yourself to create your bio, and you can even zoom in somebody on the team to do help you, or your agent service coordinator. Your website, and then also your social media. So if you have Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Pinterest, Blogger, whatever it is, this is where you literally put the link, and you paste it, and then it will show up on your marketing. If you don't do it here in account, when they receive your campaigns and engage or receive your presentations, it's not going to show up anywhere. They won't be able to click on it. The beauty of doing everything in account one time is we're doing what I like to call full service circle marketing. That means if they're on your presentation, they can get to your website, which can take them to your social media. But if you're at your social media, you should have a link to your website and link it back. So Again, those are different kinds of conversations I'd like to encourage you to have with your manager and your ASC to develop your business better. Basically, once you're done updating the information and adding your photo by clicking on this little camera button, that's all you do. You're then going to click the save in the upper right-hand corner. If you don't hit save, none of that information in any 3 sections will save. So that's it. That's a one-time set it and forget it. You don't have to do it ever again. But the only other thing that we're going to differentiate right now is on the left-hand side. If you can see, I have 3 sections in my panel here: my account, agent tools, and management tools. We're going to expand the agent tools section. And again, this is a one-time thing. You don't have to do it more than once. You're going to click on integrated tools. Okay, so the next thing we're doing in the my account section here, we're in the profile, we're expanding. You're going to click agent tools for those that are writing it down, and then integrated tools. These are the 2 different platforms that you need to add an email into to connect them so that they work with our system. The first one is connecting .loop. And this, again, doesn't apply to Florida. It doesn't apply to app files at this time, but it hopefully will. We're working on it behind the scenes. But for those who are not in Florida using .loop, when you connect your .loop account through the company here, what it does is it lets you create, it connects it to your engaged to your database. And it actually lets you create a profile for a person, and it will create the .loop transaction for you and get the paperwork filled out as well. That's a whole different class. So we'll talk about that in Engage 201. The last thing I'm going to talk about very quickly before we make our presentation real fast is Zillow. If in the presentation you liked how it showcased to you those testimonials. So in this particular case, actually I think it's right here. If you would like to have your Zillow profile showcase itself like this, the first thing you do in your roster is you just come here and then you can click edit, and then you type in the email address associated with your Zillow account. So if you don't already have a Zillow account, you can go to Zillow for free and have a free agent profile, and then make sure the email matches. So this is not necessarily your Moxi password or your Moxi email. It's the email that Zillow has in file, which 9 times out of 10 is probably personal if you entered it that way. But once I enable it here very quickly, it's going to allow it to show up in my presentation tools. So that's it as far as setup. Now I'm going to have you watch me do the quick 5 steps of creation of a presentation. And the cool thing is you don't even need to write it down because it will flow you through it. It walks you through it. To access Moxi Present on the top hand side here, the top panel, we're going to click on Present. It's going to take us into our main Moxi Present library. And for those of you who have never used it yet, your library is going to be empty. The library, well, it might have one in there that's a sample, but your library is a collection of all the presentations you've made. So as you can see, my library just loaded, and I've made a million presentations, as you guys can see here. But the glory of it is that if I create a presentation, I never need to dig for it again, because it's very easily able for me to receive it and see it here. If I made a presentation previously and I want to edit it or make a change, all I have to do in the upper right-hand corner is click this little pencil. So it's so easy for you guys. You're never recreating the wheel here. I'm actually going to teach you right now how to create a presentation from scratch. But before I do, I'm going to teach you a trick. I'm just going to give you advice. You should have 1 seller presentation, 1 buyer presentation, 1 buyer tour, at least those 3. When you make one particular one, you're able to copy it and duplicate it for each of your clients and change the property information so that it creates it for that presentation. So what I'm saying, I'm going to teach you how to do the 5-step, but if you make one particular presentation and continue to duplicate it, you'll never need to create it from new. So it's a very cool tactic. If you look right here, take your eyes to the top left-hand corner. My presentation, Joel McHale with the little dash, that's the one we just looked at. So I created that presentation, right? If I wanted to have a different presentation that's already loaded, meaning that I already have all those extra blue book slides in it, it's in the order I wanted it to be, I've already got everything put together, I'm not building anything anymore, I literally can come right here in the same exact box, click on the 3 little dots, and then see this Can you guys see duplicate? Can I see if you guys can see that? Yep, watch this. It's gold. Now, instead of creating a brand new presentation each time, I'm just copying that presentation. Okay, it just went down here. You guys see that at the bottom where it says copy? It's going to put it back at the top. Don't get confused. It puts it at the bottom for 1 second, and then it pops it up to the top. So this is my original. That's the one you guys saw. Watch the trick here, okay? So this is if you don't want to create new all the time. I'm going to come up here to this little edit pencil, and keep in mind, I'm not doing the same property, and I'm also not doing the same client. It's going to be different. My system here is so intuitive, it's going to swap the information out for me. None of the previous information will exist, okay? Take a look at this. So as you can see in here, this is who it's prepared for. I'm now going to say I'm going to meet with Jill Sanders, okay? So this is my new client or potential client, right? Watch this, okay? So let's say her property, we want to fill that her property out instead. Technically, I can fill the information in down here, but it's going to auto-populate because it's pulling the other information. What I want to do is I want to do a CMA for Jill's house. So let me find it. Then you would just type in the MLS number of the house if it was previously listed. So let's say, for example, she's not my seller yet, but her house was on the market within the last 6 years. I can use that old MLS number. Watch what happens in seconds. Okay, it's going to then take out all of the information for scenic point view. Still working, give it just a second here. And then it's going to copy and paste it and update it. Oh, hold on, I pulled the exact same MLS number. Let me do this one. So once I do copy, keep your eye right here on the picture. And it's going to give me immediate change. Okay, so now I automatically have all the information for my new client. Not only did it change the photo and pull it from the MLS, it now has changed the location and all of the property information as well. There, guys, there's no entry information by doing it this way. It's so wonderful. And if you're doing a new let's say you're doing it this way and you don't have an MLS number because for whatever reason their house was a brand new build and it's just never been on the market. Don't worry, if you type the information in here, it's still going to override it for you as well. You're still going to be able to have the same capability. So I'm going to go ahead and teach you how to create a presentation from scratch. But I just wanted you to see the really quick way to take an existing presentation and edit it in seconds to cater to your new client. I want you to see something real quick. I'm going to click view. I want you to see how it made that change, and then we'll create a new presentation. And I'll show you what I'm doing as well. We're getting to the end of our time, so I'm going to try to keep my flow. But remember, this was originally Joel McHale. See how it has a beautiful property? Oh, I pulled the wrong one. I'm sorry. Let me go back one more second. Okay, so right here, this is the one for Jill Sanders. What I'm going to teach you in a second when we create is the 5 steps. See where it says subject property, search, listings, estimate, and pages. You guys, those are literally the 5 steps. It's literally in order. So you don't even need to write anything down. You're going to do this, and then you go to the next one. And the beauty here is you'll see this in a minute when I create a new presentation, but it's literally now going to pull the comparative properties for that new property. Notice how it doesn't have our old address, the Joel McHale anymore. It now has the Jacqueline Court, and that was the address we just changed it to. So I just wanted you guys to see very quickly how it immediately changes, not just the name, the photo, the information, it actually pulls all the properties as well. So I'm going to jump into showing you how to create the presentation, and then what you're looking at now will make sense in just a second. Okay, so brand new presentation. Technically, if you wanted to do so in all of your suites, what we have loaded is a sample presentation. So in technicality, you could probably, it's somewhere in here, sample presentation. If you wanted to, for the first time ever, you could take this presentation and hit the edit key and edit that one. Or at the very top on the right-hand corner, you'll hit create new. Watch how quick this is for you. You choose the presentation type. In this case, we're going to do a seller presentation. It's just so great because it's hard to get lost. You'll keep the default. In the event that you wanted to do luxury, just so you know, you could actually come in here and choose the Coldwell Banker. And then choose one of the luxury templates, which I'll show you down here as well. So we've got some Coldwell Banker ones, and there's a luxury one in there as well. But we're going to do a standardized Coldwell Banker template and hit continue. So for you guys, you're not changing anything. It should already load on brokerage templates and hit continue. And I just want you guys to know that behind the scenes, we've already built the interactive slides. You're not building anything. All you're doing is plugging in the information for the property, and it's doing all the work for you. So in this particular case, we're going to start over fresh. I'm going to say we are doing this one for Sam Owens. And I'm also having the option right here. Do I want it to be a Coldwell Banker Blue branded presentation? Or do I want it to be a black branded luxury presentation? So if for you though want to actually do it luxury, my recommendation truly would be just to click on luxury here so that it's branded properly. But what we're going to do is a classic standard residential. So again, all I did was I entered Sam Owens and that was it. I'm going to say create. Now it's loading it. You have to give it a second. It's going to make it seem like nothing's happening, but it is. It's going to be a little circle here in a minute. It's working behind the scenes. We've created these interactive slides, and what it's doing is it's stitching them together. Now, does this look familiar? We were just at a location that looked just like this. This is your creation tool for your presentation. To create a presentation in any, whether it's a seller presentation, a buyer presentation, or a tour, they're all exactly the same. The only thing that's different is the result you get. The buyer tour, you're going to get buyer properties. This, you're going to get the properties that are on the market to sell. I'm going to make a presentation in 5 steps. Subject property, that's highlighted now, is just telling the system what our property is. If I do not know an MLS number or it's never been on the market, I'm literally just going to type the information here and plug it in manually. Making it very simple is this simple fact. There's not a lot to plug in here. So you can still do it very simply, even if it's never been on the MLS market. Or maybe it's too long. If it was on the market like 10 years ago, it's probably not going to populate over, but you can always try. Now, for those who have been on the market within the last 6-7 years or whatever the standard time frame is, you can go and look it up in the MLS and get the MLS number for that property. Again, it doesn't mean that it's on the market now. It could be any time it was on the market. It's just going to pull that information. So for this simulation, we're going to go do that same property, which was MLS number 4245218. Watch my data here. Watch my picture here. When I hit copy, it's now working intuitively with the MLS, pulling in the MLS photo. And now all my data is filled out immediately. If I don't love this photo, I can come in here and I can click on the MLS button and pick one of the other MLS photos. If I wanted to get a photo of my own from my own, database, I can click browse and do that as well. Now, just because this pulled it in doesn't lock me in. What if we're trying to talk about Scenic Point here in Strongsville, but this MLS number was something that was updated 3 years ago, and this guy's done more to the flooring. He's updated the property and he's added square footage. It's in here already, but if I needed to, I'm able to jump in and just by clicking and typing, I can say he has now updated and added an addition. He has 6,000 square feet. So it's pulling it in for you. You don't have to do anything, but you're not limited to what's here. If there are updates, you can still make it reflect accurately as of today, even though it was initially pulling old information, if that makes sense. Okay. You can actually go to the next stage in 2 ways. On the bottom of each page on the right, there's a continue button, or the exact same thing happens by taking you to the next section at the very top. So you see where my 5 steps are: subject, property, search, listings, estimate. Those are my 5 steps. If I'm on subject property now and I want to get to the next step, I just click on search. Typically what I do, it just seems to be easier. Now, intuitively, it's scouring the MLS as of now. It's pulling the actual comps for my property in my area with my filters. So right now, as you guys can see, it's got this particular property in here. I'm able to come in here and negotiate filters, just like as if I was in The MLS or on my website, no difference here. You can change the information for the CMA. So depending on how many results you get, sometimes it'll come back and give you like 30. And if you want to narrow it down so it's more realistic to your property, you're able to come in here and choose by selecting and highlighting and editing the filters to do so. So let's go ahead and hit apply. And then it's going to reset. You can also adjust by price. You can also adjust by bed and bath. So it's the same concept. It's just how you choose to narrow down. So now what we're looking at are the properties that they've pulled that are comparative. So as you see here, each one of them is listed and there's a details button. If I wanted to do my due diligence to say accurately, this is the best property for that person, I'm going to click on the details and it's going to expand the information and photos for that property. So yes, the MLS through Moxi is saying this is a good comparative property, but I'm just going to take a quick peek just to make sure it really is a good match. I don't want to give them something that's 1,000 square feet different just because it's updated, but usually you don't have that issue. But that's just a way for you to see the property. So what I do now as a realtor, I look over here and I establish which ones I want to include. Do I want to have 10 properties to compare them to, or 2 or 3? It just depends. And my criteria that I'll look at is my price point, and then I'll look at the sold date. So typically if something's like, a full year ago, that's really not a good comparative market, analysis property. You're going to want to stick to the ones that are more like November, December, if it's January or whatever it is, just within the last couple months. And the easy way to make that selected and to showcase to you how many properties are going to be included, let's go ahead and pick, this one was October. All I'm doing is I'm actually hovering over the graphic itself and there's a plus. See that? When I hover over the house, there's a plus. And if I click on that plus sign, it now uses that property as one of the properties that it's going to compare to the property that we're talking about. So you're just going to continue to add the properties in question. Now, keep in mind, you definitely want to have a true analysis. So you're going to want to dig through here and you're going to want to get some that are sold so you can compare those correctly. You're going to want to include any that are pending. And if you have any that are active or any other status that's current, you're going to want to make sure you include those as well. So you're getting a full stage picture. Normally, I take a couple more minutes to really investigate these houses, but for now we're training. So I'm just going to select a couple just so you guys can see. And if I select it and I don't want it anymore, by the way, I can just click it again and it takes that selection off. And if you go to the top, the status that we're on is search. But as I'm adding properties here, let's add this one in here. It's actually changing my number up here. So see where it says listings for. If I were to add a property, it now changes it to 5. So what I know is I now have my property. Then I have 5 comparative properties that are of somewhat close in nature and price, sales price, square footage, etc. So it's doing the work for me. That's it. That's all I do. At this point, I've added the information for the property in stage 1. Stage 2, all I've done is I've just selected the properties I want to include. But again, it's pulling it for me. I just want you to know that you still have control. If someone says, so-and-so 2 blocks from me sold their house, they sold it for more than you're saying mine's worth, I want to be like their property. Here's what you can do as a quick little fast trick. And you can do this right there while they say it to you. At the top right here, we have one that says location. If I click on MLS number, what I can do is I can actually I can go online, go through the MLS real quick, and I can plug in that MLS number, find it, and enter it here, and it will include it in my CMA. So in reality, if it was truly a comparative property, it would have automatically pulled it. The fact that it didn't tells me that there's something that's not correct with the property to truly make it match. But to appease that person and appease that client, I'm going to click on MLS and enter that specific MLS number for that property to include it. So when they do that side by side, now all of a sudden they're going to see that the property that sold for so much more had 1,000 extra square feet. So then they understand the difference there. So again, it does it for you. It's automated, but you still have the control to do the analysis of what you want with specific properties. Now we're going to go to the next section, which is listing. So That's what I'm saying. You don't need to take notes because it just walks you through it. You can't get lost. And a very important note is right here, we're on stage 3, listings. But if I go back all the way here to property, guess what? We do not lose any information. If you're like me, you get super frustrated when you fill out a form and then you have to go back and you lose that information. You're like, ah. So this is something intuitive to where you do not lose your information. It's still here. I can go back and forth as many times as I want. All my information is still there and up to date. All right, so we are on stage 3, which is listings. This is just you showcasing how you want it to show to the client. So what status? So I'm probably going to say, low. Actually, I'm going to say active to sold. That way they can see the ones that are currently on the market first. So that's all that this page, display order, listings, that's all that it is. How do you want it to show it to them? Estimate, simple. This is that page where it has the estimated price. And remember how I said you can put a remark in here that says, if you update the carpet, you could probably add an additional so-and-so to your price. This is where you would type that broker remark in there, or the agent remark. Typing it here on the estimated pricing makes it show up on that initial slide. And it's no different than Microsoft Word or text or email. Just typing it in and you can change this if you want. Okay, so we're going to go to the next page. We're already on stage 4. We're going to go to stage 5, which means we're done. It's already created the presentation. It's all located here. If you can notice on the side, I have my presentation library that's already laid out for me. So this is the cover page. If I click on the next slide, it shows property summary. Remember, we looked at these. See, aren't these familiar? Listing location. And again, we already created the interactive slides. It built it for you. You just did a couple little clicks and it built the presentation for you. And now all of these are ready to go. But there's a couple things I want to show you how to do so that you can add in those blue book pages so you can make it be a full presentation. So it's not just about the property. So I'm going to show you these 2 more things and then I'll let you guys head out the door and get to your next meeting or next phase of business for today. So the first thing I'm going to show you is right here. This is your presentation. It's laying it out in the order in which it will be shown. However, if I choose to actually want to have price and size before price and days, watch, I just click it and move it. So again, it's done for you, but if you wish to have the control of flow because you like to talk about things in a certain manner, way, or time, you can adjust it. Anything with an edit pencil means you can edit it. If it doesn't have an edit pencil, it means it's locked by the brokerage. Okay, down here where it says agent profile, remember how we talked about those Zillow leads? We turned it on the connection, but they're not going to automatically show on every presentation on purpose because sometimes you don't want your testimonials to show for whatever reason. Not every presentation requires them. So intentionally, they've set it up to where you click on the edit pencil. And then it's saying right here, if I turn on Zillow, watch my page right here, by the way, see right here, I have no reviews, but if I'm turning them on, go right here. So all this is saying is I'm turning on, yes, I want it to show my Zillow reviews on the digital version, and I want it to show the digital reviews on the PDF version that gets created. And this is just saying how many reviews I want it to show. Let me close out of here. Give it a minute, it's going to populate, it's saving. See how I pull those reviews in right away? Instantaneous. But I do need to remind you, just because we connected it in profile does not mean it's going to show up on your presentations. They want you to initiate it so that you have the control of when they do and they do not show. To reiterate, it's the agent profile tab, and all I do is click the little pencil. And then I can turn it on or turn it back off in that manner. So let me turn it off. It'll take it away. Again, give it a second, it will update. So that's how you can create your presentation. I'm going to show you how to add the slides and then how to save the presentation so you can duplicate it, and then how to send it. The concept of me telling you to make one of each kind means you're going to make one presentation. You get to choose the layout one time. You get to add the pages you want one time. Then when you have one great seller presentation that you're ready to use, instead of creating a new one each time, you're just going to create one and keep duplicating it, change the number. Make sense? So I just want efficiency and simplicity. I'm going to go ahead and hit add page. So if you look at the navigational panel, this is my presentation. I'm going to tell it I want to add some additional pages by clicking add page. Tomorrow, you're going to learn how to do create new, which is how to do those videos. Today, we're going to stay right here where it says add from library. And you're going to see that we've already loaded the pages in for you. So if you want, for example, the report pages that shows up here, the blue highlight, this is what your presentation already is. Your report pages is what your presentation already has. CBX pages are those 2 buyer profile pages. They will not show up unless you add them. So to add them, it takes me 3 seconds. I click on CBX pages and I hit add and I hit add. And reminder, because it's intuitive and interactive, I'm making this presentation for this one and adding these pages. But if I duplicate my presentation for somebody else, it's going to change the buyer profile information to match that new buyer criteria. Does that make sense? So you're doing a one-time action and it's kind of always working in your favor. Next, this tab here would be anything that you've created. So let's say you take 201 tomorrow and you learn how to create a custom page. You'll save it and it will show up here. So that's what my pages is. Brokerage pages are Schmidt family of companies. So if you want to make a note of anything, write down that the brokerage pages in the library are Schmidt family of companies. That means our black book, our blue book, our templates that are branded with our DBA, meaning if you're in the Schmidt Realty offices, yours are going to say Schmidt Realty. If you're in Schmidt Realtors, yours is going to say Schmidt Realtors. Versus the other library component here, which is Coldwell Banker, those are just branded CB. They're not going to be branded to your DBA. So that's the difference there. So I'd rather you pull from brokerage pages first. Honestly, just so it brands it. So in here, you can see we've got 218 pages to pull from, but we segregate it, make it easy. Here's that blue book that we talked about. So if you want to pull pages from the blue residential presentation book, you'd click here. If you wanted to do, if you're doing a luxury presentation, we have a black presentation book as well. For luxury, you would click here. So take a look at how fast it is. You click on it, it says blue book pages. And to add the pages, you very simply take 3 seconds and it gives you the title of which each one is, or you can click on it to view it. Let me just do it. You can click on it to view it so you can see the page. And if you open it up and see the page, you can hit add in the top right corner. Or if you don't want to open it up, you very simply can just come down here and say add, add, add. Make sense? So I'm adding quickly within seconds. The only thing it takes a little bit of time is to see the page to see if it's one that you want to add. If you don't like the page after all, you're going to hit remove and it's going to immediately take it off. And keep in mind, look at the top. See how I have 16 pages? If I add a page in here, it's going to showcase it up to me as well. So please don't make a presentation book that's like 40 pages. You're going to lose people. They're just not, I'm not even going to look at it all. They're probably not either. So just kind of keep it a little bit simplistic. Use the basic data that's very important to you. And then that's it. So we've created our pages. I don't have to do anything else now. I'm going to go back up to my pages once I've added what I've wanted. I'm going to click right on where it says pages because this is our navigation panel, how to get back and forth. Whoops. And if you know now, we've got these brand new pages. See that? We just pulled those in within minutes from the library and I don't want it here. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to pull it, I'm going to drag it down to put it where I want it. So you have the capability of using a provided presentation that has the data information in it, but you can also add additional pages and then also navigate where they go as well. I'm going to go ahead in 1 second. I'm going to send this and then I'm going to save it as a template and then we'll open for questions. But it's very fast to save it very quickly. If I wanted to send it to somebody, by the way, it automatically saves. There's no save button. Whatever you do automatically saves and updates. So if I got knocked out of the internet right now and I never hit any save button here, I would log back in and it would take me right back here and all my information would be updated and saved. That's great. You can't lose anything in Present. I'm going to go ahead and hit send. And here I'm telling it to do the digital presentation like we just viewed online. And I'm also going to do this so I can meet my client where they need. This also creates a PDF version that they can view online or print out. So if you have those people who don't have the technology, please don't stress them out. Give it to them in a PDF. Make it easy for them. Some people just need it. And then you just jump in here and then you can either type an email address in here. But if you have your people already loaded into Moxi and Engage, which is the Engage classes, it will automatically find them for you like mine just did, but you can still add someone in here that you don't have yet. You could put in the subject line, however you want it to be. You can add your own personal message here. And remember, I told you as a realtor, you want to get a copy to yourself so you see what you're sending. It's right here. See that? When it's checked, it says send a copy to myself. That way they get an email and you get an email and it is received in the way I showed you to begin with. So I'll go ahead and I'll send that. So that's how you send it. If you want to look at it digitally or in PDF before you bother sending it, it's as simple as clicking this view button here. And if I want to view the web version, I click on that. And if I want to view print, I click on that. And then that's pretty much it. They're going to cover a couple things in the more section right here, how you can share it tomorrow, how you can add a co-presenter, do some quick marketing flyers, pull from your information, etc. But ultimately, it's very easy. So in summation, you can create one presentation, load your pages the way you want, and just continue to duplicate and change the contact information inside. But for me to be able to do that, I've created this presentation. Let's say I'm comfortable with it. I feel good about it. On my navigation page on the left, what I'm going to do when I'm done with it, I'm going to say save as a template. It's saving it as a presentation, but if I want it to be an actual template that I can reuse, I'm going to do save as a template. Okay. And it's going to ask me what I want to call it. So I can say, is your example, I could say like sample seller presentation like I've done before. And then I can go ahead and hit save. Watch what it does. Okay, so when I do my presentation in general, I don't have to do that every time. It's going to save the presentation for me. But what I just did is I turned it into a template. I'm going to show you what that means. And then we'll wrap up. I'm going to go back to my Moxi Present homepage. I can click on the home button or I can click on present again. If I click on present, it will always take me back to my main library, just to make it easy for you. But as you can see here, I'm in my main library by clicking on the present or home page. Here's the one I just made. See that? Sam Owens. So I'm able to come in here and I can duplicate this. I can change it. I could even turn it into a luxury presentation if I wanted to or edit it. But if I wanted just to have a standard template, watch this now. Watch what happens when I go to create new, because I just made that into a template. I said create new seller, so nothing different. Continue. Same concept, but now instead of brokerage templates, I'm going to say my templates. So this, I've made several, so bear with me in here. I'm going to find the one that I just did so you guys can see it visually. I make a lot of them, as you guys can see. I think I called it like sample right there. This is the one I just made with 17 pages. So if I click on that, it's taking that, it's the same thing as duplicating, basically. It's just I'm creating new and it's pulling it as a template. So I can do it either this way and then put who the name it's prepared for, or I can come in here now, like I told you before, even if I'm done with Sam and now we're going to start working with Maria, I'm just going to click on these three little dots. Because I like Sam's presentation, it's already ready, it's already good to go, it's in the right order. I'm going to hit duplicate. And now instead, I'm going to change this and populate it with Maria's information. Remember, it's going to be on the bottom and it's going to pop it back up to the top. And I'm going to hit this little tiny pencil. So we're pretending like we're editing it for Sam, but in reality, I'm just going to be tricky here. And I'm going to say, now it's for Maria. And I'm doing exactly what I already showed you before. Okay, so now this is for my new potential client. I'm going to jump in here and plug something, plug an MLS number in. Changing, it's going to change it out. As soon as I hit copy, it does the work for me and pulls out the new information. Perfect, it worked. Graphic is changed, Prescott Lane, it's a new address. Then I very quickly run through my flow of business here. Then I can say, okay, it's pulling my different properties that are like mine. I like this one, and this one. Just throwing them in here just to be quick at this point. or I can add an additional MLS number or adjust my filters. Now I'm going to listings. It's already set active to sold, so I'm good. Estimate, I'm done. I'm flying through here. And do you see I'm already done? My presentation is done. My pages are loaded. I can see on the side. The only thing I would want to jump down here and do is under the agent profile tab. I want to make sure, I'll click on this little edit pencil. I turned it off the last time, so I want to make sure I turn it back on so my reviews show up. And that's it. That is how you take the presentation. And now the X out of here. That exact same presentation that we made initially for Sam is now ready for Maria. Loading it, see how it says Maria Howell? There's no Sam, there's no contact information or anything for him at all. So it's an awesome system to use. Again, I would love for you guys to encourage yourself to time block today or tomorrow, sometime between Wednesday and Thursday, to create a presentation of your house, your property, your mom, your dad, brother, sister, whatever it might be. And to help you out with doing this task, I want you guys to understand that all the different aspects of present, meaning the buyer side and the seller side, are 100% the same. If you're going in to create a buyer tool, right in here, so a buyer profile, same thing, find the perfect property for your buyer. So you're helping them narrow out what properties they like. The templates are built. I'm going to do it so fast so you guys can see that it's literally the same thing. Same concept. We're just focusing on the properties that they would want to buy instead. Okay, it's going to pull it up. And I can either type in the criteria of the type of property he would like, or I can find, excuse me, one property on the MLS. It's working. Give it a second. Because I'm talking to him. What do you want in a house? I just did this with my children's grandmother. What are you looking for? What do you want? And then what I can do is I can find a property that's similar to that on the MLS, which is what she did. Because I want you to know she was on Zillow before anyone, everyone just goes there first. It just is the reality. They know that name and they find a house and they're like, I want a house like such and such and such. So you're able to plug in the house that they're interested in or one that they want like it. And I'm able to import it. So it's going to pull in that type of property. So it's no different than if you were in the MLS plugging in the criteria yourself. It's pulling it in. Okay. And you can even include the drive time. If you want to put their address where they're working or living, what it will then do, because it's helping them establish if they want to buy this property, it's going to then navigate to them the time frame for them to get to work to that property. It's pretty cool. Same concept here, 5 steps. We're going to go to search. It's going to find the properties that are similar to that property. So these would be the ones that your buyer would be most interested in. And again, you adjust like you would, no different in the MLS, price, bed and bath. You change the filters to additionally add or change your square footage or whatever it is you might want. I'm going to do this really quick here. And then as a buyer, instead of looking at 5,000 properties, you're going to literally be highlighting and showing them the ones that are just like what they're actually looking for. And again, as a buyer, they're going to come in here and click on the properties in the presentation and see them. And they're also going to see status and everything else. So as an agent, it's very quick. Same process, estimates exactly the same, pages exactly the same. No different. So let's view. So this would be for the buyer. So my concept I want you to leave with is that you're just doing one method, but if you want to do it for a buyer, it's for a buyer, but it's the same method. So there's no two things to learn. You only learn the product one time, and it's exactly the same. Same in views, same in usage, same in navigation. And now I'm able to literally save money when I'm going to be a buyer because I can come in here. Here's my side-by-side comparison in here. I just plugged in an old MLS number, so ignore these that say sold, because if it was a buyer, these would all be active. But I'm now able to compare the house versus all 3 houses I like and literally look at the square footage based off the pricing of the list. We literally had a pricing point here for someone in my family. They wanted to pay for a property because they were not familiar with the market, and they were going to pay $30,000 over asking price, over what it was worth. When we showed them this comparison, they realized that they could get a better property for less money by doing it this way. So do one seller tour, one buyer tour, that way it's ready, it's there, it's in reserve. Then when you get your client, you can then plug their information and go in from there. But I'd also like to encourage you to utilize this as a lead conversion tool, in the fact that maybe you have contacts on social media, let's say Facebook or Instagram. This would be the concept time for you to say, would you like me to do a free, no obligation property CMA for your house? Or I hear you're looking for a property, I could give you a no obligation, comparative property link where you can look at the houses yourself. And again, by doing it in Present, you're making them use your website, which is increasing your view, which increases your value. So on that note, we covered a lot, and I saw you guys were following along very well. Do you have any questions? If you can jump in here, let's close out. I'm gonna have you type to the chat box here. Either ask me a question on any of the platform applications, or please give me your feedback. Now that you've learned it, do you think it's something that you will want to use? And do you feel like this is a tool that's easier to use than you thought? Tell me your opinion. So either ask me a question or give me your feedback on the tool itself. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys close up with that. Give you a couple minutes to do that. All right, great. Wonderful. Katie says, I'm super excited to start using this. Wonderful. By the way, guys, this is a huge lead conversion within the company. We do analyze reports where we can see how many presentations everybody makes. And then we can bilaterally look at your production as well. Those that are utilizing our systems are the ones that are outperforming the others. I'm not saying that as a tactic here. I'm being honest with you. Carrie and JD and Judy and I look at these ridiculously analyzed reports and we see it. It's fact. The people who are producing the most are utilizing the product. Just that simple. Any questions? If you have no questions, you could just jump in the chat bar and tell me no. Again, I want you to remember that you can access this training as well as any others on our video training store. Let's go back there. When you go to schmidtresources.com, it's our one-stop shop for our whole company, regardless if you're Michigan, Florida, St. Croix, or Ohio. schmidtresources.com. Again, you click on your region. So I'm in Ohio, so I'll click Ohio. You can, if it's just Moxi you're interested in, you can click right on the Moxi Works tab here, and then it will take you into Moxi and you can get that training. But if you want to access this or any other training as well, I like to say follow JD. Right here, we have a video and social media classroom. So in every region, if you click on JD, where it says video and classroom, and then you click on them again, video, classroom, this is a YouTube channel that we've established. All training that we do that's offered company-wide is going to be here. So you can either take a look at the playlist. For example, these long form sessions for Moxi would be right here. You could find any training for Moxi here, whereas you could find anything for Facebook here. But my little trick here, if you're looking for something in very specific and you just want to be quick and not dig, you can actually type Moxi Present or Present 101. And as an example, I'll have this one uploaded at some point today into this system. So it just makes it easy for you to be able to jump in here. Here's a different training that I did a little bit ago, but you can run it in YouTube, watch it, re-see what we're doing. And then as you go, pause it, and then turn around. And as you're seeing me do it in the actual training, do it in your actual presentation tool. So you're actually following along with the training. If you're like me, you need to see it, hear it, repeat, right? It's just got to be it's in one ear and out the other if not. But some more feedback. This is awesome, and thank you. Thank you guys so much for coming today. Please jump in and utilize your marketing systems as a tool of knowledge. I'm going to jump into our next training calendar here. I want to make sure. CB, oh, I think it's tomorrow. It should be tomorrow unless we've changed it. Should be tomorrow at 1 o'clock for the second portion. And perfect. Yeah, it should be, I don't see it right here right now, but we should have it tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and then at 2 o'clock, we should actually have the next phase as well. So if you wanted to enjoy coming to Moxi Present 201 or part 2, you can join us at 1 o'clock, same exact link as you joined us today. Again, my name is Elizabeth Glass and my email is elizabeth.glass@cbschmidtohio.com. Thanks guys, I enjoyed having you with me today. Good luck. And happy Moxi presenting. Have a great one, guys. Have a good one. Bye.